There are two versions of the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, and at first glance they seem identical. Same design, same buttons, same screen. But one runs a Snapdragon 865 and the other uses a MediaTek Dimensity 1100. The Snapdragon version is priced at $229, while the Dimensity model costs $199. That $30 might not seem like a huge gap, but depending on what you plan to play, it might matter more than you think. If you're sticking with retro systems, NES, GBA, PS1, Dreamcast, even some GameCube and PSP, both versions run great. Games look sharp, and performance is smooth with upscaling, shaders, and filters. However, once you delve into heavier emulation, the differences become apparent. The Snapdragon version handles PlayStation 2 and Switch games much better. Some PS2 games like Dragon Quest VIII or God of War 2 just don't run well on the Dimensity 1100. Frame drops, glitches, or completely unplayable. On Snapdragon, you can run them at 2 times resolution with no major issues. Same goes for Switch emulation. Snapdragon's Adreno GPU supports custom drivers like Turnip, which improves compatibility and smoothness. The Mali GPU in the Dimensity version doesn't, which means certain games like Risk of Rain 2 won't even launch, while they're playable on the Snapdragon model. If PS2 or Switch is even a small part of your gaming plans, the Snapdragon version just makes more sense. Even if you're not emulating, streaming also favors Snapdragon. Decoding latency is about 2 to 4 milliseconds versus 8 to 10 milliseconds on the Dimensity. It's not night and day, but it's definitely noticeable if you're streaming from your PC or using Xbox Cloud. Also, only the Snapdragon version can dual boot into Linux, allowing you to run things like Portmaster and native PC ports. Again, these features might not matter to everyone, but if you're spending close to $200, you'd want to get more out of it than just retro titles. Battery life between the two is nearly identical. Both have a 5,000 mAh battery and last around 14 to 16 hours with retro gaming, 6 to 8 hours on mid-tier emulators, and about 3 hours with demanding workloads. The one difference: Snapdragon supports 27-watt fast charging, while MediaTek tops out at 18 watts. Not a huge deal, but noticeable if you're playing hard and need a quick top-up. So, is that extra $30 worth it? If you mostly play retro games, maybe up to PSP and GameCube, and you're not into Switch or high-end emulation, the Dimensity version is perfectly fine. It's still a solid Android handheld with a great display, smooth performance for 90% of retro consoles, and better Bluetooth, 5.2 versus 5.1. But if you want headroom, smoother emulation, better streaming, Linux support, and long-term compatibility, the Snapdragon version is the better buy. The small price bump gets you a lot more capability. And let's be real, if you're buying one of these to push performance, that $30 isn't going to be your biggest concern. To me, the Snapdragon 865 Flip 2 feels like the complete package. It handles more, feels more future-proof, and unlocks options the Dimensity version just can't. If you're only buying this once, I think it's worth getting the one that won't limit you later. But if the clamshell form factor is what you want, and you're staying on the lighter end of gaming, the Dimensity 1100 still holds up surprisingly well. Just know its limits going in. So, which Flip 2 would you go for? Let me know down below, and if you're rocking either model, I'd love to hear how it's been working for you.